Hello, I'm Alexander Hultnér, and I'm from Gothenburg, Sweden. And I'm here at PyCon US this year, and I'm very happy to be here and speak for you all today. I'm going to talk a little bit about Pydantic, and my talk is titled Intro to Pydantic, Runtime Type Checking for Your Python Data Classes. So let's get ahead then. So as I told you, my name is Alexander Hultnér, and I'm the founder of Hultnér Technologies and as well Papero.io, which is a service which me and my colleague Magnus have been working on for the past year. You can see a small screenshot here down to the right. I also talk at a lot of conferences. I'm a frequent speaker at different conferences, for instance, PyCon Sweden, quite a few years, EuroPython, and of course here in PyCon US for my first time this time around. So that's very nice. I do some freelance consulting and I also do some training and workshops, so you can contact me if you're interested about that. My Twitter handle is @ahultner, and you can also email me via contact@hultner.se. All my slides are available at slides.com/Hultner, and all the links you can see in these slides, they are clickable, so you can find them via the slides.com/Hultner and just scroll down until you find the PyCon US slides, which should probably be on top right now. And you can also reach me on LinkedIn, where I'm also Hultner. So let's go ahead then. So the outline for today's talk is like this then. We're going to start with a quick refresher for Python data classes, which could be good if you've forgotten some of the details, or if not, just see what we're going to be covering. And then I'm going to introduce you to Pydantic. I'm going to talk a little bit about the runtime type checking, gonna show you some really cool JSON stuff you can do, gonna show you some custom validators as well as built-in validators. I'm also gonna show you a little bit how you can use Pydantic to runtime type check the types of your functions in runtime. So basically, if you have a function, you can check that as well. Gonna show you a little bit about some framework integrations and how Pydantic can be used with a lot of different frameworks. I'm also going to show a small example of that, and some auto-generated testing, which I'm not going to go too deep into, but I'm going to drop a little hint there so you can find out more if you're interested about that. Some cool features worth me mentioning, and then we're going to conclude this talk today. So let's not wait any further and get started. So data classes then. Here's a quick refresher then. We have the @dataclass decorator, and for this talk we're going to use imaginary waffle plays for our examples, because who doesn't love waffles? Anyway, so our imaginary company is a cafe named the Waffle Bistro, and the Waffle Bistro need to model their waffles. So let's take a look at how such a data class could look like. So here we have a waffle, we have some style, we have some toppings, and we have some type annotations on that. Now let's try it out then. So as you can see, we're trying to create a Swedish style waffle with chocolate sauce and ham. Not my favorite combination of toppings, and I'm not sure if it's what the Waffle Bistro want to serve either. But as you can see, it's completely allowed by our waffle class at this point. So that's something we probably would want to avoid. Maybe we want some stricter types on this, because string could be anything, basically. So let's go ahead then and see if we can constrain which types of toppings we offer and which styles. So we offer a couple of cream-based toppings. So you can see we have whipped cream, we have ice cream. We also have a couple of dessert sauces. So you can see that we have cloudberry jam, one of my personal favorites. It's a berry we have here in Sweden, which is very good. And if you have the chance, you should try it out. Raspberry jam, a classic, and chocolate sauce for our Belgian style waffles. And as you can see, we have two styles, Swedish and Belgian. And we updated our data class using the waffle style for style and a couple of toppings for the toppings. So let's see what happens now if we try to create a waffle with ham topping. So as you can see, the user provided a waffle order where we have a Swedish style waffle and chocolate sauce with ham. Okay, so didn't our type stop this? Well, for statically checked types with MyPy, this would maybe be enough. You would catch it as a type error in your static type validation, but in runtime it's still not stopped, and especially if you're working with runtime data, then this could be a problem. So you can see that we're completely allowed to create a waffle with ham, and there's nothing stopping us. So what can we do about that then? And this is where Pydantic comes handy. So Pydantic is a Python library which allows you to enforce enforce types from type annotations in runtime. It's compatible with data classes, and you also have some bonus stuff if you want to go further. You have very user-friendly errors. There's no special syntax. It's just pure Pythonic classes, nothing strange. We have built-in deserialization and serialization of classes, and it's even supporting nested structures. There are some predecessors like data classes, Atters, Marshmallow, Valideer, and ORM libraries, and those could be good to look at. What makes Pydantic stand out is that it's just using the standard type annotations. And the documentation is really great, and as you can see, it's blue here in the slide, and that means you can click the link if you go to the slides afterwards and find all the nice documentation yourself. So let's get into Pydantic then. So run type checking is of course very nice, and this is what we want to do. So let's lean on the shoulder of the giant in the house, which is Pydantic in this case. So now we change our code a little bit. We import data classes from Pydantic instead of the standard library data classes. And then we don't really change anything else. We keep our waffle class the same, but when we now try to initiate the waffle, you can see that we get a validation error. Actually, we get two validation errors, and they provide a nice readable value. You can see that it references which index in the topping tuple that's actually invalid, so ham at index 1, and it gives us an error explaining what's wrong. So this is really helpful, and we can see it's neither dessert sauce nor is it cream, so it's not allowed. And with that simple change, we already got some runtime type checking on our classes, so we could stop here, but of course we want to go further and see what more we can do. So let's try to create a valid waffle, maybe with Cloudberry jam. You can see in the picture here is what Cloudberry looks like. It's kind of like orange raspberries in look, but in taste completely different. So let's create a Swedish style waffle with whipped cream and Cloudberry jam. See here how I use the cream enum for the whipped cream, but strings for representations for the other fields. Pydantic is a parsing library which will try to parse the data you actually want from this, so it will convert it to enums for you automatically. As you can see here, Cloudberry jam automatically got parsed as dessert sauce. If you want more strictness than this, you can achieve some of this with strict types, which you can also see in the documentation. Or if you want even further, there is being work made on a fully strict mode. So that might be coming in the future. Not sure when, but keep your eyes open if that's something that matters to you. So what about JSON then? So the data class drop-in replacements is really great for compatibility, and makes it possible to get started really quickly. You don't need to change anything, but sometimes you want to do even more, and with the Pydantic base model you can. So you have first class JSON support built in, and the only thing we changed right now, as you can see, is that we removed the data class decorator and instead inherit from base model. And of course you can also have your own base class that inherits from base model, and then later you can inherit that class and you automatically get it all the way, but let's not go into that too much right now. So let's see then, we need to specify the arguments using keyword arguments when we use our base model, and as you can see here, we use style equals Swedish and toppings equals and the same data as before. And as you can see, we get the same style of waffle object as we did before. So everything works great. But now we can easily both encode this entire object as JSON and decode it as well. There's also built-in support for dicts, pickle, and there's an immutable copy method. But they can also deserialize or serialize subclasses, and also if you reference another Pydantic class within your properties in the Pydantic class, that will also be handled for you. So it's really handy for those kinds of things. Let's see then, we have our JSON object. We could easily create here, you can see, we just run the JSON function on it and we can see that we get JSON output. So what about reconstruction then? So let's try to reconstruct our object from the JSON output. So we will use the parse raw function. You can also parse a list of Pydantic items, but let's not do that right now. So we can use parse raw, and as you see, we get the original waffle object back again. So that's really great. Let's see then what happens with errors. So we have the validation errors, which were readable, and exceptions are great. But when you're working with third-party clients or with APIs or stuff like that, maybe you want to expose those errors in a structured format. And of course, JSON can be used here as well. So let's see here, we create an invalid waffle. And in this case, we have the style 42, which isn't an allowed style at the waffle bistro. And we point the error, and here you can see we have the same error data, but in a structured object where we can get the location of the error, we can get a message telling in a more human readable way what's wrong, and we also get some context data and a type of error. So that's really useful. I've used this, for instance, in React and other front-end libraries to wrap it and easily get some very nice output, and maybe automatically mark in a form, for instance, where the error is. Yeah, I think that's really nice. So JSON schema then. So maybe you've heard about JSON schema, and we can also export JSON schema directly from our model. So this is where Pydantic almost gets magical for me, because I mean, this is so useful. You can use it to create Swagger or OpenAPI, as it's known as now, specifications for your data. So here we have the waffle class, and we run the schema function on it, and as you can see, we get this large schema out, which is actually a JSON schema. Keep in mind that the Pydantic does use the draft 7 of JSON schema, which is standard in OpenAPI 3.1, which was released earlier this year. But maybe if you're using the still common 3.0, you could have some slight compatibility issues. Usually it's no problem, but I've run into it like a few times, so it's good to know, and the differences is quite small, but there are some. And if you want to have strict compatibility with the draft 4, you can create a schema extra function which handles it for you. So that was the built-in validators, but maybe you want to create some custom ones and code our own business logic, and the Waffle Bistro sure does. So we have our own business logic which we want to implement, and in this case we want to constrict a little bit about what kind of waffles we can create. So now we're creating a waffle order, which is a subclass of the waffle, and the only difference is that we actually enforce some stuff when customers are ordering our waffles. For instance, for Swedish style waffles, we only want to allow jam dessert sauces, so raspberry jam or cloudberry jam. And for the Belgian styles, we allow chocolate sauce. And additionally, we don't want to have waffles with both ice cream and whipped cream, so they have to choose either ice cream or whipped cream. And you can see we created some functions here. Basically, we have this @root validator telling us that we should run this pre equals false, tells us that we should run this after we've done all the other validators, so we know that we have parsed all the data and stuff like that, so that can be useful. And we check the styles, basically looking at the toppings and at the styles, and we can see that we followed these rules we said. And same for cream then. So here we can see that we check that there's only one cream in the list of toppings, and we raise a nice error if there's more. So let's go ahead then. So let's see now what happens if we try to create an invalid waffle based on these new rules. So I'm gonna create one with both ice cream and whipped cream. I'm really feeling like having a lot of cream today. And as you can see, the order wasn't accepted. It's telling us that we're only allowed to have one cream topping, but we were given both ice cream and whipped cream. So that won't do. Basically, that gives us a very nice way of knowing. Then you can see that we get an error on the root validator as well. This is because the previous validator doesn't pass. We could add like an exception for this or handle it in a smarter way, but in this case, like for the purpose of this talk, I'm just gonna keep it simple. So if we try to create a waffle order now with both cloudberry jam and chocolate sauce, and it's a Swedish style, so we don't allow chocolate sauce on Swedish style, we can see also we get an error saying that the waffle bistro doesn't sell this type of waffle. Here we could also create even better errors if we want, but for custom ones, it's up to you. So these runtime functions or type checkers are really, really useful for a lot of things. So maybe you want to use them for functions as well. Sometimes your boundary isn't a class. So actually, Pydantic got you covered here as well, because there's a validate arguments decorator, which is still in beta, and it was released in 2020, 18th of April in version 1.5. But it's quite stable, and it could be good to know or interesting to see. So here we have the validate arguments import, and then we have our function make order with some undefined business logic, taking in a waffle and actually, or a waffle order, and actually making sure that the argument for waffle is a waffle order. So we try to make a waffle here, and we create a breakfast style waffle. Here you can see we add a dict, and if the dict would be valid, it would actually create the waffle object for you. And as you can see, we get the error telling us that the style wasn't correct, because we don't sell breakfast waffles, just Swedish and Belgian styles. And we can also see that we get the root validator error saying that we don't sell this type of waffle. So that's very nice. And now that you've seen this, maybe you're thinking that you want to integrate this in your frameworks, and that's also a very nice thing about Pydantic. There's a lot of frameworks having great integrations with Pydantic. So you can use it, for instance, with Flask or Falcon or Starlet with the framework agnostic spec tree. There's Quart Schema, which is an async, or Quart is an async re-implementation of Flask, and Quart Schema is a first-party Pydantic integration for that. There's Fast API, which is very famous and is using Pydantic for everything. So it's really first class there. We have something called Django Ninja for you using Django outside there. And I haven't used it myself, but I've looked at it and it's very similar to the other ones. Should be quite easy to use. There's another cool one I like to mention, which is Strawberry, which is actually a GraphQL framework, but it got experimental support for Pydantic classes as well for your GraphQL graphs. So that's nice. So it's like a puzzle piece that you can kind of fit into a little bit of everywhere. And another thing I really like is automatic testing. So there's a Pydantic hypothesis plugin, and you can use it for automatic testing. I've linked an article here by Phil Jones, where he uses a technique very similar to one I use to automatically test APIs using this hypothesis plugin. Basically, if you've used the hypothesis when you built your strategy, you just reference the model and you're fine. If you want to learn more about hypothesis, you could watch my talk from PyCon Sweden 2019, which is linked here. Another great library is Schema Thesis, which takes in an open API spec and makes sure that your API actually can handle everything the spec says. So it just generates a lot of tests. Very nice library. If you want to know more, you can watch my EuroPython talk from last year, linked here, or just check out the library. I highly recommend it. So I'm going to show you very quickly a super small example using Fast API, basically, and using it to create a very small API around our waffle bistro logic. So Fast API is very tightly integrated with Pydantic, and it's a async ASCII framework, but it can be used with sync mode as well. And this is everything we need to create an application with an API around us. So here we have two functions implementing our business logic, basically make order and dispatch order. So we can make a waffle order and we can dispatch it when the waffle is done. And we just reference our waffle models here, and just using that you get the automatic API documentation, and you also get type validation for everything in runtime. And this is just the beginning. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more, and you can contact me via chat here on the conference, or via Twitter or LinkedIn, or via email if you want to know more. And here's just a quick taste about some of the things you could look at, but I'm not going to have time to cover them. But for instance, built-in support for .env, so you can use it for settings management, very nice. There's stuff like annotated types. There's plugins for PyCharm. There's a MyPy plugin making the MyPy support even better, but there's, of course, native MyPy support. We have a very fast way of handling this. So if you look at the benchmarks, it's very fast compared to alternatives, but of course you should make your own if you're going to use it. There's a lot of built-in types you can use, and of course you can create your own types. So concluding this talk then, we have the pure Python syntax, we get some better validation, very useful JSON tools for APIs, easy to migrate from standard data classes if you have those. Lots of useful features, and more things are always coming. Very active development stuff is happening all the time, and they're working on the strict mode, and you should really try it out. I mean, just play around with it a little bit. I've used it from everything from production applications to just small one-off experiments, just playing around. So if you have any further questions, you can ask me either here on the conference, or you can contact me via some of these links. I also have a link here to my GitHub, where I also have a GitHub page for this talk, where I have even more information, some more links. I have a Jupyter notebook with all the examples, so you can run them yourself. You can sign up for my hypothesis course if you're interested in property-based testing, which I'm developing on the link here, and also for the Papiro.io beta if you're interested in optimizing your PDF workflow, being able to create PDFs with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And I'm also available for training, workshops, and freelance consulting if you want to learn more. So don't hesitate to contact me if you want to know. And thank you a lot for watching my talk today. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.